Hello everybody and welcome back to Inside the Circle, and this week we are chatting about February. Now, February was an unbelievable month for hockey. We had some great indoor tournaments and obviously a few legs of the Pro League as well. So without any ado, let's start right into it with the England Hockey Indoor Super Sixes, which started off the month quite nicely. These were held in the Derby Arena. It brought together the top men's and women's teams that took part in the indoor tournament that England Hockey ran. So the women's tournament was great, some really high-scoring semi-finals. East Grinstead outplayed Surbiton with an 8-4 win. It was a great flurry of goals, and Sutton Coldfield edged out Holcombe with a 1-0 win, which was a late penalty corner. Brilliant, which led to another brilliantly tight final. Sutton Coldfield pushed reigning champions East Grinstead throughout the match, but some really early East Grinstead goals sort of started to take the lead away from Sutton Coldfield. It really then did come back with Sutton Coldfield got another penalty corner, so it got a bit tighter, but it really did end up being that East Grinstead continued their indoor dominance, claiming another title. It ended up 2-1, close game, but really East Grinstead really showed how top that they are in that women's division of that indoor league, which led on to the men's. Another fantastic turnout for the men's tournament. Semi-finals, Old Georgians beat Oxted 6-2 and Wimbledon beat Surbiton 6-3 to set up a brilliant men's final. It was a dramatic final. Old Georgians came back from a 3-0 deficit to come back to get it 3-2 by halftime, and then Wimbledon started to take the lead again, leading 5-3, and then a penalty corner double from Ed Horror, and then Old Georgians got everything back to 5-5 draw, which meant that it went to a shootout, which again, unbelievable, great spectacle for the final. After the extra time, went to shootouts. Old Georgians prevailed with a 2-0 victory. Ashley Jackson scored the first one. George Penner doing George Penner things in goals for them as well. And then Tom Carson got the goal to clinch the title. Old Georgians retained their title in a brilliant, dramatic Super Sixes final. And to be honest, the tournament was a brilliant end-to-end excitement, late goals, shootout drama. What more can you want from an indoor tournament? And it was great to see that the English Indoor League is booming. Yes, it's maybe by some of those bigger clubs, but it's doing really well. You obviously had the Super Sixes for the men's, women's, and then you had the junior teams taking part in that as well, which is great to see. Hopefully that indoor can push on. And actually, there's no reason why the England Hockey couldn't push for then an indoor international team in both the men's and women's, because they've definitely proved that they can be done, and I think England Hockey would benefit from seeing their team on the international stage, which would only filter down for juniors as well. Leaving the indoor, we head over to Spain, sunny Spain, for some Pro League tournament play. In Spain, we had England, Netherlands, and Spain in the men's. England did exceedingly well. They were unbeaten in regulation time across all the matches in this block. They got a draw against the Netherlands. It was then decided with England winning the shootout 3-1 with that as well, which is a brilliant result for England. Personally, I thought England going into that could be a bit ropey, but honestly, really solid team. They brought great play from some key players throughout. We've all seen several crafty goals and celebrations, which I think is fantastic. It's bringing it back, good old school hitting from the top of the D and doing really well with it. The Netherlands did exceedingly well as well. They played against Spain and England, two tight matches, 3-4 and 2-3 losses to Spain, and then obviously a draw with England. Typical Dutch style, really high paced, really well in that transitional play from defence and the attack. Just didn't really get the some of the results that they were looking for. And then Spain was probably a bit more disappointing for them. They had a loss, two losses to the Netherlands, and then they were beaten twice by England as well. So it was difficult for them, especially being at a home Pro League leg. They were competitive. That's the main thing. These weren't washovers. They were close and good Spain play as well. Nice flair with breakaway attacks. Something they can improve and build upon through this Pro League tournament that's still going on. And obviously we had then the women's leg of this block as well with Spain, Belgium and German women's teams. I must say the Spanish women had a fantastic build-up through this block, and they showed real progress through it. Narrow defeat to Belgium in their first match, but then they beat them in the next one 1-0. So again, shows real good dominance on that. They drew with Germany 1-1 in their first match against them, and they won the shootout 4-2. And then they got their final win, which was a 3-1 victory over Germany as well. Really positive from them. The Belgian women, obviously, they played strongly against Spain, and then they beat Germany as well, 3-1. So I think Belgian women are doing the same trajectory that the men had a couple of seasons ago. I may have said this before, but I think their trajectory is looking really similar to what the men's was, and it's really exciting to see some really exciting players in them, in their team. And I think with the World Cup coming up, be interesting to see how they do there. And then obviously leading on to the LA Olympics, I think that could be a really strong tournament for them. German women, they competed unbelievably. Really tight games they played in. They came up short in them. Their best moments were definitely a 1-1 draw with Spain. However, they did lose then in the shootouts. But again, it's the Pro League. These blocks work in a great way that they can have a slightly more weaker team for that leg, but actually then build up and have a much stronger team for the next leg, or build upon the results with the same team. I think it's a good way of sort of developing a team through those different blocks, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on in their next block. We then leave sunny Spain, we fly over to China. This was a great one. The China block had China, Netherlands, England and German women's teams. It was all hosted in the Yunfu complex. There was a couple of pitches and loads of different sports venues that are held there as well. Look, there's not much to say about the Dutch women. They absolutely dominated. They had convincing wins over China, England and Germany as well. They just dominated throughout. Their usual traditional style of play, really attacking. Defense was unbelievable, and then it definitely helps when you have Yibi Janssen on the top of the D, shooting and having some incredible drag flicks as well. The Chinese women did very well. Obviously, your silver medalists from Paris. They picked up a 3-2 victory over England and a really good standout sort of performance throughout. They are showing great firepower, great resilience. Again, just need to keep that momentum going from the Olympics when they've done so well. If they can continue doing that, who knows what they'll be, especially with an unbelievable coaching setup that they've established. England did very well. 2 matches against the Netherlands, they lost 3-0 in the first one and then 3-1 in the next one. They did obviously beat China, and it was a bit of a morale boosting one. Mixed outcomes from them, but I think that the late improvement could mean something they could run into, say, the London Pro League block that's coming up in June. It could be very good for them, get a bit of momentum so that behind the home crowd they can keep that going. Forgive me, I have said Germany in that as well. Germany didn't play in that. They were obviously playing in the previous block, but strong block there. It was good showing from China. There's really good crowds at it, and it was great to see a real sort of buzz around hockey out in China there. So hopefully that can continue. And obviously you have the Chinese men in the World Cup qualifiers that are coming up in March as well. Then we've been in China, we're heading over to India, and there was another block of pro leagues for the men. India hosted Belgium and Argentina, so really good set of matches that are going to be held here. Belgium opened, I think, really continued their momentum from when they were playing in the Dublin leg. 3-1 win over India, which is a brutal win or a brutal defeat for India at home for them. So, and then every match after that, there was just clinical finishing late in games. Their possession was brilliant. I think they've really built on a team of experience and youth coming through, and I can only be commended from them. You can see it's been working in the pro leagues. Now, again, if we're taking this as pro league and we're not always sure on what teams are going to show up and what players are going to be there, but they've had a consistent team out for the blocks they've been playing in, and I think you can see how that's being built for them, and it's brilliant to see. I think initially when that golden generation of players started to retire from international hockey, there was maybe a thought of, is Belgium going to be what they have been? But look, at this current point, my personal opinion, I think they are proving that they've just piggybacking off that young generation that saw all these wins and the build up from that previous one is coming in, and they're working well together with some old guard and the new guard coming in. I'm excited to see how they get on over the next while. We also then had Argentina in this block as well, and another crushing defeat for India against Argentina, 8-0, which is just unheard of, especially in India. Argentina played brilliantly. Their attacking firepower was brilliant, but a mix between outfield and short corner goals really put it well. And then they got another win against India, 4-2, which is just... India didn't have a great block in their hometown, which is really disappointing. Certainly disappointing for the fans, disappointing for the players. They really just struggled to find any sort of consistency. They only got one goal throughout this block, which again for India is concerning. It's pro league. We always have to say it, and I've said it a few times already. It is pro league, so it's gonna be an interesting one to see how they develop from there. You can really see that both Belgium and Argentina had the momentum throughout that block. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how these guys get on in their next block, and India will be really interesting to see how things go for them. We then fly from India all the way down to Australia for the Hobart block. We both again had a Hobart block for the men and the women's. So in the men's we had India, Spain, and obviously Australia. What am I talking about? It's the end of the day. It's getting a bit tiring. Strong performances from Australia. Again, another brilliant team setup from them. Helps being at home, obviously, but good mix of experienced and youthful players coming through. 3-0 win over Spain to start off with. Really good attacking threats from them. They got a draw against India, but won in the shootout. So again, nice bonus point for them. They did well. A couple of things they can build upon, but it's looking good for them. I think it could be a good building block for the Australian men's team. You obviously then had Spain. We had a good, strong game between them and India, 1-1. And then they won the shootout against India that match. So again, the building blocks were there from their home leg to this. They're building really well. Spain are always that team that has a good attacking flair, especially against India. Could have been a bit of a stalemate because, again, both like a counter-attack, but Spain prevailing in most of these. And really, India, again, just nothing came of it. They were a bit lackluster and really hoped that something more was going to come from it. You then had the women's leg of it, which was another strong tournament that took place. We had the Chinese women doing very well, got wins over Australia and Spain. The Argentinian women did brilliantly as well. Some a good initial win over Ireland. 2 wins over Ireland, but it was first one was a bit close, second one was a bit better. Ireland women, fantastic. They really showed great resilience throughout this block, and it was really good to see. I was having a bit of a panic thinking they were going to go over here and get beaten about with it, but they held on really well. They got their first win against Australia, which is brilliant, and hopefully they take that sort of form into the qualifiers that are happening for them, and we can go from there. But overall, really strong blocks of Pro League for all the teams, really, maybe bar India, but they did well, and it was good to see. I think all teams had a good mix of youth and experience, and I think this sort of in between year and leading up to a World Cup, it was good to see a lot of teams are really focused on that, getting their kinks out, hopefully early, so that they're all running smoothly for that. So after this sort of month of mini blocks of tournaments in the Pro League, we ended up in the men's table with Belgium, Australia, Argentina as the top 3. We then have the Netherlands, England, Germany as the next one, and then Spain, India, and Pakistan for the next block. And in the women's, we obviously have the Netherlands, Belgium, Argentina as the top 3. Next is China, Spain, England, and then our bottom 3 is Ireland, Australia, and Germany. It's still early on for them. There's plenty of matches still to be played for all these teams. I think there's some real promise on how all these teams can carry on for the next block of matches. I know the big ones in England in June. Really looking forward to that. It's always great weather and a great atmosphere. We're going to head back to indoor because we had the Euro Hockey Indoor Club Tournament for both the men's and the women's. Now there's obviously multiple tiers of this, but we had our top tier for the men's that took place in Spain. We had a winner of AHBC Amsterdam. It is the first Dutch team to win this competition ever. They defeated Haverster, or THC, the German side, 7-4 in the final. Brilliant match. And then we had Junior FC from Spain beat Leopold to get 3rd place. We did have a Czech and Swiss team drop. They were relegated from this top tier into the next one. Some great stats. There was 8 teams, 20 matches, and a total of 211 goals, which is unbelievable. 13 goals was the top goal scorer from AHBC Amsterdam. And the top goal scorer, or the best player, was Dan Kassim, obviously from the Amsterdam team as well. He had a fantastic tournament. And the best goalkeeper was Pablo Luna, which was from the Spanish team, Junior FC. He really did well, keeping them in that 3rd place match, unbelievably so. We then head over to the women's. This took place in Poland, and it ended up being Waterloo Ducks playing Den Bosch in the final, and Waterloo Ducks beat Den Bosch 2-1 in the shootout after a 2-2 draw. It's their first, Waterloo Ducks from Belgium, this is their first indoor club cup title, which is another brilliant. So both the men's and women's seen really good development there in that indoor league. Again, good to see a Dutch team coming up runner-up. And bronze, we got East Grinstead Women's from England. Obviously, they'd qualified through the Super Sixes tournament, headed over here and got bronze, which is brilliant. They defeated Mannheimer, the German team. We also then had a Spanish and Polish team that were then relegated out of this top tier. Again, 8 teams, 20 matches, 132 total goals. Brilliant. And the top goal scorer with 14 goals was Daphne Gose from Waterloo Ducks. The best player, which again was from Waterloo Ducks, which was Frans de Mott. And the best goalkeeper came from East Grinstead, keeping them in the tournament throughout, which was Matilda Woodhead. So the pullouts from this indoor tournament was really strong. And the men's side, you had a first ever Dutch victory, which is huge. You know, the Dutch don't play indoor internationally, so to get a club team doing so well, that, you know, a bit like England at this point, could change the tide. Get a Dutch team in that international setup, and it'll be really strong. German and the German and Spanish teams remained unbelievably strong. Really good, solid performances from the likes of Leopold and Harvester. On the likes of the women's side, Waterloo Ducks this is the second ever Belgian team to win this cup, which again shows a really good, strong performance. Especially, there's been a Russelheimer RK just have been dominant in this women's indoor cup for so long. So it was great to see just new blood coming through, new teams. It was great. Another dramatic final on the women's side of things, ending in penalties, and then this is East Grinstead getting a bronze, ends a really long period of time that an English team has gone without winning a medal. So again, it shows the progressions there, the want, the need for indoor is there, and I think some regions and national sort of setups don't view indoor as highly as probably what they should, and it's good to see the likes of the Dutch, the English, the Belgians all coming through with strong, and even the Spanish coming through with really strong indoor performances at a European level in front of, you know, big crowds, which is great to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they can carry on this dominance into the next year, because obviously it's a big gap between now and when they're going to play next year as well. So moving on from hockey news, we've got some talking points which I think are interesting. There's only a couple here. It was, you know, the headlines were dominated by Pro League and indoor, so it was quite good to see some other things happening. So Nike announced and played their first ever 3v3 tournament, which was based in Rotterdam. This is really exciting, I think. So it was a 3v3 game based around a 4-minute all-in-one match. It was really the aim of this was to develop 16 to 18-year-old teams, showing off their skills, developing, and honestly, it sort of took that street football, you know, style that Nike is sort of renowned for. You know, the likes of Brazil, you have the street football, five-a-side, all of that is developed so highly and is thought of so highly in those fields. To bring something like that into hockey, it shakes it up. I think it's great. You know, it was exciting to watch. If you can, I'll link some of the clips and stuff that they've posted out. It looked brilliant, and it was great to see that sort of energy, especially for both boys and girls at that age, developing their skills, showing it off, and just making it feel a bit more like, you know, something exciting they want to be part of. We then had a big announcement from Osaka and Yibby Janssen. Obviously, Yibby Janssen is the drag flicking superstar of the Netherlands. She has moved from Adidas footwear to Osaka. Big move, I think, because she's always been a loyal Adidas athlete. She did appear when they were out in the Pro League in all white, so white shoes, white glove, white stick, and it was it did start getting people murmuring about in comments and things. But after doing a bit of digging just before they announced that she'd sign with them, you could sort of start to tell that it was starting to look a bit more Osaka things rather than Adidas things and equipment. So it was announced by Yibby and Osaka at the end of February, announcing their partnership with footwear. But it will be interesting to see when the announcement is for any other equipment. The other glove and stick that she was using did look very Osaka-esque, so it'll be interesting to see if any more developments come out of that. I think it will be probably one of the bigger moves of brands and equipment that we've seen for a while, especially since she's not going to be in her patented pink shoes and sort of drag flicking attire with Adidas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But honestly, I think it's been another great month for hockey, for both tournaments, news, and the other bit of news that we sort of started that I'm excited to bring is Ross from Leap Hockey is taking on the mammoth task of reviewing all brands and all their top sticks. Now, what he's doing, I think, is brilliant, because he's reviewing it in such a way to give them a ranking, so it helps break down what people want the stick for, how it feels, the power, the feel, the touch, all of that sort of thing, just to help narrow the field down, because as we know, working in the shop here at Total Hockey and all our different stores, there's a lot. So Ross is great. He knows how to break down drills, show skills, and know functional things that someone is actually going to be using on the pitch. So he's done a few already. He's looking forward to doing a good few more throughout the rest of the year. So if you're not, which will be silly not to, go follow Leap Hockey and go check out what he's doing, because it'll be really interesting, and it'll help, hopefully, when the new season comes and the new season products all start to come out, help point you in the right direction of what you want to look at as well. But yeah, it was a great month for hockey. It was really exciting. I'm looking forward to sort of the second half of most top flight hockey, which is going to start at the end of February, start of March, which will be great. Plus, we have the World Cup qualifiers in multiple locations with loads of teams. Lots of teams have big stakes in all these qualifiers, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Let us know in the comments what your sort of biggest hockey news is around the world, or if we've missed anything, or if, frankly, I've put in wrong information, which is very, very high, considering there was so much hockey going on. I've probably crossed streams, and I do apologise for that. But join us again for the next episode, where we'll do the March recap, and we'll have plenty to chat about with the World Cup qualifiers. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Enjoy the rest of your season, and we'll see you next time.